Stay tuned and let's check out this NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles android Krang. Ciao and welcome back to the channel, Dan Who Reviews. As always, my name is Dan W. Make sure you are following me on Instagram at It's Dan Who. Today we are taking a look at the NECA Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Krang, or Krang's android body, or the Wrath of Krang as the box says. And I do love this box art. It's a nice throwback to the old VHS tapes that I used to watch as a kid over and over again until they were worn out. It's why I love Turtles now in the first place. And unfortunately I don't have those videotapes anymore, but now I have these deluxe figures that are a nice little throwback to that. And if I open up the little Velcro tab, it of course reveals the figure inside, which is Android Krang. I never quite got the character design as a kid. I always thought it was odd, but I guess it's meant to be odd. It is a brain living inside an android body, and I love all the accessories you get with this guy as well. Weapons and a baby shredder, which I'll talk about when I get him open. Nice promo image of the figure as well there on the side. So yeah, massive shout out to the Wolfpack Toy Reviews. They picked this up for me over in California and sent it over to me because for some reason this guy doesn't hit the UK until like August, and I couldn't wait that long to have such an iconic character like Krang's android body for my display. So as I said, the box art is very nice. Let me spin it round to the back. You'll see some more graphics that, as I said, are a throwback to those VHS tapes. These would usually be screenshots of the cartoon. Now we're getting actual images of the figure and a nice little write-up for Krang. But I won't read that now. Let's waste no more time and let's get him open. So here we have Krang and his android body out of the packaging, and first impressions, these look perfect to the cartoon. Now of course, as we've mentioned, he comes with tons of accessories which are all packaged away there. I will be going through all of them. I just wanted to pay a little bit more attention to Krang as we start off here, because this is a brand new Krang. It isn't a reuse of the previous one. It's a different mold. It's a little bit bigger. It's a little bit brighter in tone. The pink just is a little bit nicer, I think. And yeah, this one is very nice. So obviously they've made him a little bit bigger, so he actually fits in the little hole of the android body, but he also fits in the previous walker. So let me just zoom out and bring this back in. So there you can see the previous Krang in the walker. Really nice Krang. But if I take this Krang out, you'll see straight away that the pinks are different, and obviously it's smaller as well. The actual brain is smaller, and also this one's got the mouth open, this one doesn't. I do actually like the new Krang a little bit better, but now I've got two different ways to display my Krang. I don't mind. And again, while he's out here, this is the perfect opportunity to show you that the arms of course pop off this Krang as well. So let me do that real quick. So there you go, the arms are off, and he still fits in the bubble walker. Look at that, it actually packs it out a little bit more. And the new hands, of course, still pop into that as well. But you can see here, as we've got two different tones in here, how the tones are different in regards to the pink. So you can mix and match the arms if you wanted to, but obviously each brain has their own set of arms. Different sculpts as well by the look of it, but the pinks are a little bit different. So, of course, keep that in mind. But it is nice how we've got a brand new Krang, and of course, if you wanted to, you can put that Krang in your walker as well. But I don't think the previous Krang will work as well in the android body because it's smaller, and this one's got a hollow section, so it actually sits in there, and this one's a little bit hollow, but I just don't think it will fill it out enough. Like this guy can virtually this guy can fit in there straight away, didn't have to open him up, where this brain, you can see, definitely not fitting in there unless I take it apart. So let me just show you how I take it apart real quick. Literally, I would suggest, let me take Krang out, and the actual little controller comes off as well. That's on a ball peg as well. I've not broke it. So I would suggest putting your fingers in here and actually prying open the sort of yellow bout, so the top part comes off no problem at all. Let me just put in this controller just on a ball peg so that I can clip back in there no problem. And then we get the new Krang. Let me attach his arms again real quick. These are just on little ball points and they are very nice. Where's the other one? Over here still. Hang on, these are the wrong way around. There's that there. Click, you can hear the clicks. There's the second one. Click. So now there's that, there's the hollow bit. Actually put it in the hollow section and it fits in there nicely. And now you can get his hands, let me zoom in. Now you can get his hands wrapped around the controllers as well, which is a very nice touch. See how he's got his hand around the controller? And obviously this one I just have to manipulate a little bit more, but I can get that to work in a minute. But yeah, looking good. And now I can put on this new body. And now we have Krang in, there you go, clip, clip, clip. Now we have Krang in his walker, and he fills that out nicely. And again, just wanted to show you a close-up of Krang in there very nicely, holding the controller, so he's controlling the actual android body with his little tentacles wrapped around both of those. And yeah, just looks so good. The pink tone is perfect as well. Looks like it is jumped out of the cartoon itself. And here he is once more next to the little bubble walker, so you can see your Krang comparison before we move on here. And just for size, as you can see, Krang's android body is just over 8.5 inches, but just shy of 9. Maybe once I've attached his little antenna, he'll hit the 9-inch mark, but still, I think it will scale beautifully with the rest of the figures in this line so far. As I mentioned a second ago, you do get an antenna with Krang that will of course complete the look. You get 2 of these packed in there. You just got to be very careful you don't lose them because they're really small. So on the top of his head, you'll see that little hole, and you can just plug that antenna in the head, and this will complete the look for your android Krang. That is perfect, and this will probably take him to the 9-inch mark now. But you get 2 of these packaged with the figure, so be careful you don't lose them. They feel quite sturdy once they're in there. It plugs in there nice and tight. That's not going to fall out. Now, before I go through his array of accessories, let's briefly mention the articulation, because as you can imagine, it's a very top-heavy figure, so you'd think the balance will knock him over, but he will stand up very nicely, and it feels quite sturdy. But of course, it's a game of balance. You've got to be careful however you're posing him. He has got little legs compared to a massive upper body, but it works nicely. He will stand there on his own with no no problems at all. So the articulation is pretty good. So his arms go up about there. These shoulders are a soft sort of rubber, but you're not going to lift the shoulders above that anyway. And there's a single joint on the elbow, so you get a little bit of motion there, but nothing major. But I think you've got enough to demonstrate what you want your android body to do anyway. So the arms are pretty good. Now be careful of paint chipping. I know a few people have complained that the joints is paint chipping, because it seems like NECA have painted the actual joints as well. So as you start moving these, of course there's going to be a little bit of flaking, but for me it doesn't bother me too much, because it's not in very noticeable areas. It's not like there's paint chipping off the center of the figure. They're on the joints, which are always going to be bent to a little bit depending on how he's posed anyway. Of course we get lots of interchangeable hands, and our hands do have a tiny sort of hinge on there, which I'll get into in a minute, but nothing major. The waist, there is a swivel below the sort of TV screen-ish, if you know what I mean. So there's the bottom swivel. Of course, the top part comes off, so the swivel is at the bottom, just above the trunk, which I'm absolutely fine with. It seems like it will spin all the way around if I want it to, but I'm not going to force it. But as you can see, lots of movement there. Legs, you can do some pretty good splits for an android body. That's not bad at all. It's like on a ball joint over here. And then there are double joints on the knees, as you can see. But as I said, there's no need to force it, but they will go back pretty good. That's not bad at all. And then, of course, there is an ankle pivot, which is pretty good. Just got to be careful, but it's there. And then there's a hinge as well, and my hinge isn't pretty good as well. I did warm my figure up with a hairdryer before I started doing the articulation to help it a little bit. But like with all NECA figures, these are collectibles. They're meant to be displayed, not necessarily played with. So do proceed with caution. But I do think people out there that are going to be displaying these, doing poses, ACBA, will be happy with the range of articulation you get for such an awkward character design. But still, mine's going to be standing there looking menacing, I'm sure, and let's have fun with some of these accessories. So let me stand in there first and foremost, and let's go through these hands. So first, he has a set of sort of open palm grabby hands. There's a better look. So that's one set of hands. Second set are a little bit open, not as flared out. These sort of look like they could grab something, maybe a turtle's neck or whatnot. But yeah, second set of hands are like open. And the third set of hands are like a tighter grip. So no fisted hands, unfortunately. You can't punch anybody, but why do you want to punch people when he's got all these crazy accessories? So this last set is a tighter grip. You can see it's a little bit hollow there, maybe for holding some more accessories a little bit tighter. And talking about accessories, this guy comes with a bunch. So let's start going through them. So the first weapon in Krang's arsenal is this axe, very nicely painted as well. And again, all of these accessories will just plug into the wrists the same way the hands do. So basically you're replacing your hands with these weapons. So first up is an axe. Next up, we have this crazy contraption. I don't even know what to call it, but it's like blades on a sort of rotator, and they actually spin. Look at that. You actually can spin these blades. Very nicely added there. That's pretty good. He comes with 2 lasers or blasters or guns or whatever you want to call them. These can plug into the wrist just like the hands, like the other accessories, and now he has guns, which are very nice. I like the red tips there, and the blues and the greys are a nice to match all the other accessories for this android body. And last up, look at Krang's set of balls. Look at this pair of balls dangling with all these spikes on it. These are actual real metal chains as well. So of course these plug into where the hands go, and now he has a mace. Krang can actually hit the turtles with 2 spiky maces, and these are actually quite sharp as well. So yeah, actual real chains that you can plug into the hands. Nice accessories. Of course, we needed to see how these look on Krang, and look at that. They actually dangle there perfectly. You can actually swing them and hit some people. That's an actual weapon, people. Forget the turtles. This is a weapon you can use in your household to fend off burglars. This is pretty good. Look at that. Just be careful he doesn't bash himself and he chips the paint. But yeah, this is nice. Like that a lot. Here we have Krang with his guns plugged in, of course, or his blasters or his lasers or whatever you're technically meant to call them. But they plug in as the wrists instead of hands, and now we can shoot some turtles instead of grabbing them. That's pretty good. And then lastly, here we have the axe, of course, and then the little spinning blade, which is very nice. So again, you can mix and match these any way you want. You could have a mace and an axe, or a mace and a hand, or a laser and a spinny thing, whatever you want. Mix and match to your heart's content. Lots of fun accessories. So everyone's display can be different as you have Krang attacking your turtles. Now we just need our street diorama. Now his last couple of accessories are very episode specific. So let's firstly just go over this crazy one. So he has a bar of soap on a string. He has a towel for his head, so let's take out his little antenna, put his towel on, and we can even put the antenna back in the towel, which is stupid. So there he is, fresh out the bath, and he also comes with a towel. I'm not even going to bother taking it out of the plastic. I'm sure you can get what a towel looks like. I'll throw up an image of Krang from the cartoon instead, so you can see the look you can recreate for your shelf. Now that was just one scene in one cartoon that you can now create on your shelf for display. So very nice little wink to the audience. Any true Turtle fan can appreciate these little Easter eggs that we've been getting with NECA. So yeah, you get a towel for the head, an actual towel to wrap around his waist, and then a bar of soap on a string. From one scene in one episode of the cartoon. Crazy. Now, this is my favourite accessory that comes with Krang. It's Baby Shredder. So talking about Pacific Easter eggs from the cartoon, there's one episode where Shredder falls in the Fountain of Youth and turns into a baby. And now we have the figure from that one episode, which is a very nice little touch, very nice Easter egg packed in here with Krang. So anyone who's a fan of the cartoon can appreciate these little Easter eggs that NECA are giving us. And what's good is this isn't a little statue, people. This actually has a bit of articulation. So there's a sort of waist sort of crunch, if you will. So there's a sort of bit of articulation there, so you can get them moving back and forth. The arms have a bit of articulation in there, like you can get the arms bent and moved out with that little joint at the shoulder, and then the head is on a ball joint, so you can get this little guy with some expressions, with some poses, pointing at the bad guys. Like, this is pretty good. You can get him looking up at the turtles because he's a baby. You can get him looking down if maybe Krang's holding him. That is so good. More than we deserve for a little baby accessory. So yeah, it's only right that we compare this guy to Shredder. And for our Shredder comparison, here we have Shredder and little baby Shredder. So if this guy falls in the Fountain of Youth, this is what happens to him. That is pretty good. As I said, far more than we deserve for an accessory. Very nice little Easter egg to an episode of the cartoon, and a great little packing to come with Krang. Baby Shredder. So here we have Shredder compared to Krang's android body, and I do think these two scale up perfectly together. Obviously Krang's body fluctuates in size throughout the cartoon, but the majority of the time he's towering above Shredder and Rocksteady and Bebop, and I think this is the perfect scale. Looks really good. I also wanted to show you that you can get Krang to just hold Baby Shredder in the palm of his hands, which is a very nice touch. I think that looks so good. So of course, after saying that, I had to pull Rocksteady and Bebop off the shelf to see how they scale up with Android Body Krang. And again, perfect scale. And if we bring in Shredder, here we have the OG cartoon villain squad, if you will. For the majority of the show, this is the setup with all these other bad guys coming in and out throughout the show. And yeah, look at that. These are the toys I wanted as a kid, and it's crazy now as a 30-odd-year-old guy. I have these screen accurate figures for display to forever remember the good times. So yeah, very happy with this, people. If you're a fan of the cartoon, then this NECA line, so good. Here we have Krang next to the other deluxe figure that we've got so far. It is, of course, Metalhead. And I thought that guy was pretty big, but as you can see, Krang is much taller than him. And I do believe we are getting more deluxe figures very soon. I think the Ultimate Foot Soldier is next. And then after that, who knows, the floodgates are open. But yeah, so far, this deluxe sort of line within the context of the cartoon is great. Before we wrap up, of course, I had to see what a couple of turtles look like compared to Krang. And here we have the best turtle, Donatello, of course, and Raphael, for good measure, just to see how they scale up. And look at that. Yet again, great scale. No complaints from me. So, final thoughts. I am obviously very happy with this Krang. It was too heavy to fit on my rotating base, so you're just going to have to listen to me ramble for a minute. Yeah, this is beautiful. Honestly, when I think of Krang, this is my mind's eye version of Krang. I love the Bubble Walker, but when I think of Turtles and I think of Krang, it is this exact character design that I think of. I never really had the toy as a kid. I think my cousin did, and I might have stole it off him or something like that. But now I own my own screen-accurate version of Krang, and once you've got him standing next to Shredder and Rocksteady and Bebop, and you have that OG villains team for the Turtles cartoon, honestly makes my heart happy. Very, very happy, if you couldn't tell. And again, for a deluxe figure, all these crazy accessories so you can mix and match and create some fun displays. You even get a little baby Shredder, and if you wanted to display your Krang straight from the shower, NECA even give you the accessories to do that. And it just shows you that the people behind this line love the material, they love the source material, and they're doing these deep dives to give you these Easter eggs, so you appreciate it that little bit more. But yeah, you know I'm a fan. Definitely all in for everything Turtles. I've already pre-ordered that Loot Crate Season 2. Might talk about that in a different video. But yeah, this year the channel, definitely Marvel Legends and Turtles, stick around. And if you want to see those videos, then you know what to do. Please, please, please hit that subscribe button. Much appreciated. If you are in a position to support the channel a little bit more, you can on Patreon. Links in the description below. But until then, people, follow me on Instagram. It's Dan Who, and Twitter as well at Dan Who Reviews. Much appreciated. But until then, people, my name is Dan W, and I will, of course, see you on the next one.